As you can see, it's being built up, January 6th redux. But who's even heard about it? Do you know anyone who's actually attending this? Well, there's a reason you likely don't. CBS reported this morning, according to DHS, they have a very specific number, that 700 people are expected to attend. But that doesn't matter. The hysteria has reached such a pitch that the Capitol Police just erected fencing around the Capitol. And that's not all. Today, the Department of Defense announced it's been contacted by the Capitol Police, and they're ready to assist. Joining us now, Pulitzer Prize-winning independent journalist Glenn Greenwald. Glenn, they have a death grip on January 6th. It's a white-knuckled death grip, and they have to keep this narrative going. They're having a come apart about a rally that I certainly have not heard of at all for 700 people, which I doubt will show up.
Yeah, I mean, January 6th is crucial to them because, as we've discussed before, one of the leading priorities of the Biden administration, and they were saying this before January 6th, was to launch a new domestic war on terror modeled after the first one, although this one's going to be domestic and aimed at your fellow citizens. And so just like people wanted to invade Iraq before 9/11 and the 9/11 happened, they got to use that as a pretext. January 6th has become the linchpin to everything that they want to do, the idea that there's some kind of rebellion or insurrection. And that's why I know you covered George Bush's remarks on 9/11 on your show when he compared January 6th to the September 11th attacks that killed 3,000 Americans, a completely deranged comparison. The reason why liberals were so ecstatic is because that gave them the fuel that they most desperately need in order to justify a war on terror by saying the same threat that we face with al-Qaeda is the one that we now face with Trump supporters. And that last person you showed in the video clips were saying that, look at the war on terror the first time, this is how it's going to work again.
Yeah, except the means are all turned on the American people. So that's upping the surveillance state, right? That's increasing the barriers so the people can't really ever see their congressman, or it's very difficult. How worried are you, Glenn, that this will chill speech and the right to assemble peacefully, obviously peacefully? The people are going to be afraid if they go to any kind of event that's not approved by the elites here, they're going to be somehow categorized as an insurrectionist to be.
I mean, American liberalism has become incredibly authoritarian. You know, obviously one of their primary tactics is to use censorship of the internet. We see that already. And the fact that they want to take what was, in my lifetime, the worst civil liberties assault, which was the war on terror aimed at foreign organizations, and suddenly launch it domestically at our fellow citizens, they're already doing it, Laura. They're doing things like putting people they accused but never proved were at the January 6th riot, going on the no-fly list. They're already increasing surveillance. They have an enormous amount of armed security around the Capitol, which is supposed to be the people's house, which you can publicly attend. So everything they're doing is about transporting or importing this 20-year war on terror onto American soil aimed at American citizens. It's hard to imagine a worse civil liberties crisis than that.
No, and they're obviously they're completely silent about it. They just don't care. Meanwhile, the FBI, part of the surveillance state, seems to have ignored actual concerns and charges made by the U.S. gymnasts who were on Capitol Hill today. Glenn, they were hammering the FBI for ignoring what they claim was rampant sexual abuse by Larry Nassar.
I remember sitting there with the FBI agent and him trying to convince me that it wasn't that bad.
They made entirely false claims about what I said. It truly feels like the FBI turned a blind eye to us and went out of its way to help protect USAG and USOPC.
So they were spending all these man hours tracking down grandmas in Alaska who walked through the Capitol, put others in solitary confinement, and yet these young women were summarily ignored.
You know, this came up a lot in 2013 and 2014 when I was doing the Snowden reporting about the NSA, that this is an agency that spent billions and millions of dollars a year to track really one thing, which was foreign threats onto American soil, and yet they didn't detect the 9/11 attacks. Why not? And what we revealed is that they were using it to spy en masse on the American public. And so when you're misusing police authority for political ends, when you're surveilling and monitoring not, you know, child molesters or things that the FBI is supposed to watch for, or foreign terrorist groups that the NSA is, but monitoring your own citizens for political dissent, not only is that dangerous, but it also means that these law enforcement agencies don't do the job they're supposed to do, which is capture actual criminals. And the example that you just showed is yet another point illustrating that principle.
Yeah, it was a total heartbreak today. Glenn, thank you. Great to see you tonight.